Welcome back to the City Current Radio Show. I'm your host, Jeremy Park. We're honored to be joined by our next guest, Samantha DeGrasse. She's the founder and creator of Build Her a Bridge. How are you doing, Samantha?
I'm doing good. Trying to stay healthy. Wear your mask, right?
Exactly, yes. Stay at home as much as possible. Wear your mask, and together, hopefully, we'll get through this. So
Absolutely.
give us a little, you've been on the radio show before, but for those who missed the first time you were on, give us a little bit of history, because this is a personal adventure, personal journey for you, and what you're doing is extremely important, especially now more than ever. So give us a little bit of a history lesson for Build Her a Bridge.
Yeah, the last time we were on there, I actually had my daughter with me, who is my co-founder. And we were just sharing, Build Her Bridge and our mission to have authentic conversations with teenage girls, middle school, high school girls. We all know that that is definitely a difficult time for a lot of these young girls, especially given the time that we are in right now, which we weren't in last year. Very difficult times for these girls. And so just being able to have the conversation with them, to have authentic conversation about different topics. Some are more cushy than others. Some are topics that are a lot more difficult to have. And the last time we met, we did meet a couple weeks ago, and we had the racism talk. And it was really, really interesting. Really, really interesting. So
take that a step further, because I think this is a very important piece of the equation. When you talk about building her a bridge, that analogy of building a bridge for us and not being divisive, but being together and saying, especially when you talk about building a bridge, there's a proactivity of, I am going to reach out my hand, and together we're going to learn about each other and have empathy and a respectful conversation. And together, we can do this. Carry that forward into, as you mentioned, with young girls, especially those who are of different ethnicities, and especially for young Black girls. Like, what does that conversation look like on your end, and how do you have a positive conversation of building her a bridge around this time and era that we're in right now?
yeah, Build Her Bridge, which I love too, the concept of, and our logo, if you can see it, is an actual bridge. And to us, Build Her Bridge is that bridge from tweens to teens, teens to adulthood, but also the bridge to having the conversations of racism. Mental health is another huge topic that we talk about, body positivity, self-esteem. But specifically a couple weeks ago when we did have that conversation, a lot of the girls were on board with the fact that, and they recognize that there is a huge problem with Black and brown young men and women. A lot of the girls are very accepting of one another, or else they would not technically be part of Build Her Bridge. They realize, though, that Sophia is treated differently because of the color of her skin, the shade of brown that she is versus her Caucasian friends. And so we were just able to really have that real, raw, relatable, that's our motto, and have that conversation of what do we do as just young girls in general, no matter what our race is, no matter what our religion is, what do we do in order to welcome other young girls into our group? Because we don't want to be seen as the white group or the Black group. We are all shades, all denominations. What does that look like? How do we invite and open up young girls to be part of our group? What is it that we can do for help our parents realize, like, Mom, I am white, but I have my best friend is Black, and being accepting, realizing though that yes, it was wrong with the George Floyd situation and Breonna Taylor and all those other things, that we do have to treat police officers with respect. No matter what the situation is, we still have to treat them with respect. So it wasn't just a topic of racism, but also talking about police officer and police brutality and all that. So we just have to get honest. We did get really honest with them and say that it is wrong. It is absolutely wrong, but we don't want to get too deep into it, because we still have to recognize, while we can throw up all the problems, what are the solutions? What are we going to do about it? That is accepting and embracing all different people, no matter what their beliefs are, no matter what shade of color they are. We have to be accepting of one another.
It's one of the things I really love about you and what you're doing is that you're not shying away from difficult conversations, but you're also creating the context of love and caring. And a positive conversation, a productive conversation, but you're letting the girls do the talking. In other words, you're creating the framework and you're doing it in a productive mindset, but at the same time, you're allowing them to really peel back the layers of the onion and get really deep in this together. And I think that's so important, is for us to create the empathy and understanding. You do have to get below the surface, and you do have to create those bonds. And I just feel like that's a real big piece of what you're doing at all levels, with all of these really important conversations, like you said, and whether that's racism and fighting racism, or even, like you said, having self-confidence with their body. All of those are really, really important for that age, especially with young women that are going through some very difficult times.
And we can't shy away from that. You know, a lot of times parents may not want to address it or may not want to deal with it, depending on who these girls are raised with. It can be older grandparents or older grandma or single parent where they don't want to have those kind of conversations, or we never really discussed that in our home. Well, Build Her Bridge is a place where you can talk about it. And it's true where myself and other people that are part of Build Her Bridge, we are the facilitators, but these girls are the ones that, we're the moderators, I guess, and these girls are really facilitating and really organizing and having this conversation because it has to come from them. I think with a lot of things that we did, for example, when we talked about 5 months ago, we were on the news talking about mental illness and the self-care boxes that the girls did. And one of the reporters, I remember saying, like, she pointed to me, she was like, okay, you're up. And I was like, absolutely not. And she said, what? You're the face of Build Her Bridge. I said, but I'm not. This is not about me. This is about the young girls. These are about these teen girls that are here right now, because people can hear it from me and roll their eyes. But when people hear it from these young girls, their eyes are opened and they're more accepting and willing to hear it from the young girls rather than, say, as an adult like myself.
Give me one tip for you being, and I like the way you phrase it, the moderator, the facilitator. It's about them. That mindset, I think, paints the picture already, but give us one tip when you talk about having those conversations and making them productive, because I feel like in many cases, especially in a meeting, you get people together and it's so easy to go down a rabbit hole and it turns negative and you walk away and you think, did anything productive happen out of this? But you're really good at creating productive conversations around deep, difficult topics. Give us one tip for allowing you to do that others might be able to mimic a little bit.
Yeah, so one of the first things that we say when we come together is this is a no judgment zone, and they know that. Even for the new girls that will first come in, this is a no judgment zone, and we show respect. You allow the person to finish talking. If you agree with them, great. If you disagree with them, great. We're going to have that conversation. Everyone's going to have the floor, but we're not going to disrupt what someone is saying. And I try to, because sometimes they can go off on a little bit of a tangent and, you know, you kind of have to reel them back in. And so that's where we as adults, we say, so are you really talking about, or were you really thinking this? And then it like jogs their memory again. But I really think allowing these young girls the platform to speak, not disrupting them, and causing having them to have the floor. Like, let them have the floor and let them talk. Let them be honest. That's what our real, raw, relatable, and authentic conversation. And just making sure that they're heard, but making sure, okay, after we talk about this, what are we going to do about it? And that's one of the great things about Build Her Bridge, is that when we have, and we're talking about an issue, for example, mental health or racism, okay, we've talked about the problem. We can talk about the problem till we're blue in the face for 18 hours. What are we going to do about that? What does that look like for Build Her Bridge to really step in and really say, this is where I see there's a need. This is what I feel like we as a group, this is what we can do.
Yeah, so. I love it. Great advice. Carry that forward into a new TV show.
Yeah, so speaking of being the facilitator and moderator, our TV show called The Tea is with these girls. And I think this has really helped them too, being able to have honest conversation, because that's what The Tea is about. We talk about different topics and different subjects that are relatable to young girls. We talk about different things that are going on in different countries that young girls are doing, young boys are doing. We talked about the Sesame Street and CNN project that they had talking about racism with younger kids. And they were saying, man, I wish that we would have had that when we were growing up. We didn't have that. And so that was our whole episode, is talking about that. So I just love our TV show, The Tea. It is truly organized by them, different topics that we talk about. We have different guest speakers that come in and sort of fluff out what we're talking about. So for example, one of the episodes we had was talking about healthy eating and healthy habits. And we actually had a chef come on, and she was able to show the girls how to make healthy snacks and healthy food from all things in the pantry. Nice. And it was great. Teaching these kids independence too. You don't need to wait on mom or dad or your aunt or uncle to come, in and make you a healthy snack. You don't have to just eat an apple. You can actually eat something and create something that is healthy from all things that are found in your pantry and in your refrigerator. So I love our TV show. Our TV show is great.
Well, and it puts them on stage. It gives them a voice. And like you're talking about, when you feel heard, when you feel acknowledged, when you feel you have a voice, your self-confidence rises, but you also realize, wait a second, I can go and I can create that positive change. So at a young age, not only are you facilitating the conversation, but you're really building them into catalysts and transforming them into catalysts for the community, which is powerful. Sherry, you mentioned the self-care boxes before, but elaborate a little bit more on that.
Yeah, so one of the girls that was in our group back in October, it was an older friend of hers actually committed suicide. And it really rocked the girls in our group, because even though some of the girls didn't know her, they were still affected by it because they knew their friend, and their friend had lost their friend. And so once again, with Build Her Bridge, they saw a need and they said, what are we going to do about it? And so back in November and December, and then carrying over into January, we started going on this bridge in Williamson County, where this particular female jumped off the bridge and took her own life. That is a bridge, it's called the Natchez Bridge in Williamson County, and there have been numerous suicides over the last 20 years. One of the girls actually that serves as a mentor, actually two of them, Lauren and Brianna, they are mentors for Build Her Bridge, and they are one actually did jump off the bridge and is the first known suicide survivor, Brianna, and the other one, Lauren, has attempted to jump off that bridge. So this bridge has a lot of meaning, besides the fact that our name is in the title of the bridge. But when the girls saw like mental health is a real issue, they wanted to do something about it. And so that was one of our topics that we talked about on our television show, The Tea. We talked about mental health and what does that look like? Anxiety, depression, bipolar, borderline personality disorder, PTSD. And I said, if you girls are having problems understanding and maneuvering those feelings that you have, imagine all the other girls that you haven't even met that have those same feelings, that have those same ideology of, I can't do this anymore. I want to end my life. I'm feeling these anxious thoughts and I want to cut myself. I don't know what to do. And so we came up with the idea of these self-care boxes. And inside of these self-care boxes are bath bombs, hand sanitizer, lotion, journals, pens, music CDs, cards to great clips, because I think a girl will feel beautiful with a wash and blowout and a new haircut, and Planet Fitness donated coupons too for girls to actually get their energy back and actually work out. And so 50 of the self-care boxes went out to different organizations that work with youth. Youth villages receive boxes, Rogers Behavioral Health, Mercy Health Clinic, guidance counselors receive them, City of Franklin Police Department will receive them for their CIT officers, crisis intervention team, but they're needed. And I have heard nothing but great feedback from those boxes. And I don't think it's teen girls that are necessarily going through anxiety and depression, but any girl. I think it was open to any girl that was honestly feeling less than, and their self-worth was out the toilet, was just down the drain, where they just needed a boost. And this was also around the time when I handed them out, was in May. And of course, this was the time of schools being shut down indefinitely. And the suicide calls had increased over 1,000%, around that time. And so I think the boxes were definitely well received. And I'm looking forward to actually doing these boxes again in September, which is Suicide Prevention Month.
Yeah, which leads me to that next question is, how do we help? And talk about how do we help, but also too, where do we go to help in terms of website and phone number and everything else to get in touch with you?
Yeah, absolutely. We are on Instagram and Facebook at Build Her Bridge, and go to our website, buildherbridge.wordpress.com. And there's always a link at the bottom where you can donate, or email me, buildherbridge@gmail.com, and I will direct you straight to the site where you can donate, because it takes a lot for to start getting donations. Our donations are also down because of COVID and everything. So any dollar amount really helps, and it goes right back in towards Build Her Bridge. I can't even say enough how much we just need donations.
Well, and also to donations, the financial donations, but also to things like you said, if you have resources, access to resources that would be great for the youth, that's another way to be able to help, especially with the self-care boxes.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll take it.
So tell them again one more time where to go, website.
Yeah, website, buildherbridge.wordpress.com. Find us on Instagram and Facebook at Build Her Bridge, all one word.
Well, Samantha, thank you for all you and your team do. Greatly appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.